to give you some idea just about what you're in for, it's my task for the next 20 minutes or so, then I'll be handing to Paul and he'll lead you through an exercise. This is my dad a few years ago. His name's Mal, and he wrote this course when he was 20 in its first incarnation. The course was written as a response to a challenge. He himself came to faith at the age of 15, and it had been a difficult. He grew up on the streets of Sydney. His stepdad, his first dad died when he was 3 of tuberculosis. His stepdad had been off to World War II and was off and away, and really suffering what we would now call PTSD, I think. So he was off and away, and so for him at age 15, he went off to a Easter camp because he was told there were going to be girls there, and he didn't discover girls; he discovered Jesus, and it changed his life. And he just wanted to tell everybody at the age of 15. He wanted to tell everybody about Jesus, and so he started to. And got a bunch of friends together, and by the time he was 18, was regularly leading hundreds of people to faith. And by the time he was about 21, he had this challenge. There were 300 young people that come to faith, and there were, at that stage, they weren't really well behaved, like they didn't really know how to act in a church. And so he tried to bring them into some churches, and it didn't work. And so he figured he had to start working out how do I prepare them to live their faith. And that's the dilemma that produced this course. Now it's evolved and changed over the years, but it's still the same question: how do you actually live your faith? Is the question at the heart of this course. It initially was called the Commando course, and they changed that. And then it was called the Theodynamics course, which was one of those really clever things where you took the Greek word for God, theos, and the Greek word for action, dunamos, and put them together. But everybody thought there was thermodynamics, and that's a whole other thing about the movement of hot air, which isn't really the image you want to produce. So it became back in. Gordon was there actually with me. Gordon, I met Gordon. He came down to Tasmania back, I think it was 96? January 96. It changed its name from Foundations from Theodynamics to Foundations. And it's been on this journey ever since. And look, to be honest, for me, this course, there's been nothing more shaping in my personal life. In my understanding of who God is and what does it mean to live your faith in a practical way, what does it mean for us as a church to engage with the community, than this course. I think particularly it raises the right kind of questions, and what you'll find around the tables is that the point of this course isn't to find the right answers that'll keep somebody happy, but to find the real answers. What does it actually mean to live your faith? Not what should it mean, but what does it actually mean to live your faith? For Jesus actually to be in charge of your life. It's kind of the question that'll drive us right the way through these 13 weeks. Thousands of people have done this course around Australia, around the world. Here's some of the courses. This is my home movies kind of thing. This is a course top one is a course I was part of in Germany, in Indonesia. This is Kansas. It's the first time I shot a semi-automatic gun. They took a shoot in Kansas. This was Australia, and that was Ghana. It's been interesting right around the world as we do this course because it really is engaging with the questions and the real questions. It works really well cross-culturally. It's a very practical course, and one of the things you'll find is it's the kind of course. If you've got a PhD in theology, like one of our guest teachers, he's actually got 2 PhDs. Next week, David will be with us. He's the president of Taylor Seminary, and he talks about how life-shaping this course has been for him. But we also have, it is normal for us to have people who aren't even, we wouldn't even yet call themselves Christians, but who are on the journey, and to come along and to help. And it is kind of normal for people to come to faith, on this journey. We actually have a youth version of Foundations. It is, as you're picking up probably already, a fairly intense course. We'll tell you more about that in a minute, but it is, as Jeremy was saying on Sunday, so I think this is the most integrative course that we currently offer anyway here at St Albert Alliance Church, one that tackles all of life. This is one of the verses that shaped and formed this course was this passage from Hebrews. And you need to understand, you'll find, by the way, we'll tell you more about the notes, but you'll find most of the verses, and every verse that we reference on here will be in your notes, so you don't have to panic too much about missing stuff. But we've got this picture of what does it mean to live your faith. We have the great heroes of the faith unpacked in Hebrews chapter 11, and this story of Abraham. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he didn't know where he was going. By faith, he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He had lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. It says, he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. There's a brand of Christianity that'll want to say it's all about getting people into the lifeboat and into heaven, and it's all about what happens after you die. One of the things you'll find here in Foundations is, look, I am looking forward to what happens after I die. I think it's going to be unreal, and I'll often say I think we should have like a gathering in a few hundred years' time just to remember that course we did back then. Let's make a visit to the Heavenly Starbucks if there is such a thing. I don't know if Tim Hortons will make it. Maybe you will. But you see here for Abraham, some people think, oh, he's looking forward to heaven. No, he's obviously living in a tent. He's looking forward to something that's very real, and he's altering his life to look for a city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. And the heart behind this, and Jesus comes and talk more about it, and he's talking about the kingdom of God. And he says the kingdom is here, now. Jeremy often uses the term, the now available kingdom of God. We're on a journey to work out what does it mean for St Albert to be a city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. What does it mean for your household to have foundations, whose architect and builder is God? What does it mean for Edmonton, for Alberta? What does it mean for your workplace? This is one of the core questions at the heart of this course. Jesus also, this is one of the other verses that informs it, Jesus talks about, therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. For Jesus, what defines somebody with foundations was somebody who let themselves hear deeply what he was saying, but didn't just fill their head with the right ideas. See what he's saying? Who puts them into practice, who aligns their life. I love coming here and hearing some of the journey that we as a church have been on, and finding the language of apprenticeship. An apprentice doesn't just go to class and say, tell me the right theory for building a house. No, he's with the master on the work site and swinging a hammer and copying the master. This is what Jesus is saying. Don't just learn all the right ideas about me, but learn how to live the words I'm talking about, so that they're part of your everyday life. This is the question of this course, and Jesus will say, the people who don't put them into practice, you'll find your life gets swept away by the events of your life. And it's interesting. One of the pictures of maturity we have, and we're going to talk more about this. one of the things you're going to find in this course for the next 6 weeks or so, we're going to keep saying, we're going to talk more about this, and you're going to get sick of that, but we are, I promise. But in Ephesians it says, the picture of immaturity is someone who's swept around by the waves. Someone who the external circumstances of life set the agenda for. I love the picture we get both, I think it's Psalm 1 and Jeremiah, where the tree with the roots that go down deep into the water, and it bears season in season, and it bears fruit in season and out of season. Kind of this picture that a life where roots are down so that the external circumstances of your life don't set the agenda for your life, is the picture that both Jesus and those word pictures communicate. So we want to say that the outcome we're reaching for is the difference between ideals and values. Because of the way the church has been shaped over the last 300 years by the Enlightenment and all that kind of thing, we've placed a high value on ideas. We'll have big arguments and we'll split churches over ideas. You'll find Jesus is less concerned about what you've got in your head and more concerned in what you've got in your heart. We'll talk more about that tonight, actually. Got a question for you, and there's space there just to take a moment. In your life, I encourage you to say, I'm going to give you a minute or two just to stop thinking. Are there things that are ideals that you wish were values in your life? Like, be honest with yourself. One of the things you'll find about this course, you're going to enjoy it a lot more if you can be courageous enough to be honest with yourself, at least. And gradually, if you can gradually be honest with the crew around your table, that'll help too. But to start with, if you can be honest with yourself. So just for a minute or two, there's space there in your notes. What are the things in your life that are currently ideals that you would like to be seen become values? Values, definitely we're going to talk more. We've got a whole session on the difference between attitudes and values and ideals. But basically, a value is something you actually do. And an ideal is a nice idea. It's kind of, we'll be a bit more specific in the future. What in your life, and this is just for you, what would you like to see become values that are currently ideals? Okay, bring you back. As I said, only a minute or two, didn't have a long time. One of the core questions of this course is, how do you live your faith in all your life? When one of the teachers of the law came to Jesus and was trying to kind of trap him, but also was asking a pretty real question, because I mean, if you imagine, how's your memory? My memory is pretty bad, honestly. Like, it really, but there are over 1,000 stipulations and laws that a Jewish person had to be conscious of and obey. And one of the great philosophical questions it was a Latin term, the unum necessarium. What is the one thing necessary? Like, how do I boil all this down? And so that's kind of the question that this teacher of the law comes to Jesus with, and Jesus' response is this: I love this. The guy comes and says, what is the one most important thing? And Jesus said, okay, the most important one is this. Then he gives him two. Jesus didn't always colour within the lines. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. It's a really famous and core part of the Jewish faith, that line. It's they call it Shema Israel. It's the hear. Shema is the Hebrew word for hear. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this, and the way it's in the Hebrew, it's the second is of no less importance. Is kind of what it's in the original is what it's saying. Love your neighbour as yourself. There is no command greater than these. And so, as we take Jesus' words to heart, you'll find this course is actually divided in 3 streams initially. There is the living with God stream, and the whole stream is about what does it actually mean for God to be the centre of my life? What does it actually mean for me to live with God? But Jesus doesn't stop there. He also says, you've got to love your neighbour as yourself. Oh, Ree Bernie, welcome. Sorry. And one of the challenges for many of us is we actually do love our neighbours as ourselves. For many of us, learning to love ourselves is a real journey, isn't it? And so we've got to face, who are we and what does it mean to learn to love yourself? To be able to appreciate the beautiful person you are, but also to be honest with yourself about who you are. And so this whole stream of the course is about the living with yourself stream, and the living with others stream. You know, it's hard enough, you know, to have a relationship with God and to try and sort yourself out, but then throw other people into the mix and it gets really messy. What does it actually mean to have healthy relationships with other people? What does it mean? One of the things we're going to show you is the Bible's pretty committed to us being in community. We're just not real good at it. The research is in, and Canada is getting lonelier. Levels of social capital, that they call it, which is about the connections between people, are dropping, and there's been this the television is the one thing you can do. The more you do of it, the worse your life becomes in terms of relationships and things. Since television's come in, there's a whole lot of other complex things. What does it mean for us to have healthy relationships with people? It's kind of the question of this stream of the course. Now, there is then, you'll notice, a 4th tab, and the 4th tab is about putting all those other 3 streams into practice. It's called community transformation, and the question genuinely is, what is Jesus' heart for this city, and what do we do about that? How do we put all this other stuff into practice in a way that actually makes a difference? You'll find that the living with God, living with yourself, and living with other streams, you'll find there'll be times, because this is the way we're wired as human beings, they'll merge together. And you'll be going, am I doing a living with God thing here? But we seem to be talking a lot about ourselves. Or am I talking about, am I talking about living with others or living with God? Because we're talking a lot about the Bible here. Because you'll find we as human beings aren't that easily compartmentalised. That you'll find these streams do weave in together. We just put them as streams just to get a few handles on it, and you'll have a bit of an outline there of what the different units are going to be. And as I said, the community transformation takes all the understandings and asks this question: if I was to take this stuff seriously, what would happen to my community? How would my family be different? What would actually be different? And that's what the community transformation stream is. And we'll mainly get into that in 3 or 4 weeks' time as we get through the first breakers of the first 3 units. Just a quick heads up about your manual. It's divided in streams, not in course order. So you'll find that in a minute when I throw to Paul, there'll be you'll actually have to turn to the living with others stream of the course and you won't find that there'll be some, because we'll only be doing 2 sessions a night. Sometimes we won't be doing something from one stream. We'll pick that up in a couple of weeks' time or whatever. So you just need to stay tuned in to that. And you've got at the front of your manual, you've got 2 things. You've got a colour-coded table of contents, and then over from that, I think after the introductory, after this bit, you've got a schedule, and you see which units are on which nights. And if you miss a night, you want to see, make sure you grab the notes, and hopefully we'll have the video or the audio of the video available for you to catch up. You'll find though that as much as you can be here, each week builds on the other, but we understand it's not possible for some people to be here all the time, and that's fine. There is, at the end of every session, there are just questions for you to take away and process. You'll find you get a lot more from the course if you just spend some time through the week, just coming back to maybe in your quiet time or whatever, just say, okay, God, what do you want him to show me in this? There are questions to reflect on, and all the verses we reference will be available in your notes, so you don't have to panic too much. And there's plenty of space for writing, to scribble and make notes and highlight. And these are your notes, and encourage you to write your name on them and use them as a resource. So hold on to it. And as I said, this is a journey we take together. Your small group or your table needs to be a safe place to explore truth in the context of community, not just a place to learn facts or absorb opinions. In order for this to be the case, we work together to practice. These are the values around the tables for the foundations. Prayer. We want to be praying for each other. We want to, at the end of each night, make sure that somebody at least is praying for the whole table, preferably having enough space to pray for each other at the end of the night and through the end of. There'll be times where at the end of sessions we'll take time to pray. We also at the same time want to take a prayerful journey together, and we want to commit to each other. You're not here to be a counsellor, and it is not your task to fix anybody else around your table up. Mm-hmm. It's a journey we take together, and what you can be doing is just praying for people. We want to, as much as possible, be steeping everything we're doing and bringing it back to Jesus, and encourage you to be praying for people at your table through the week. Listening, your small group, you're going to find, I don't want to point anybody out, but the people around your table are different to you. If you look around the table, you'll see that's true. And you find that this journey is going to be much richer if you create the space and it's okay for them to be different to you. So that we want listening to be a value of this course. We want to, and when you're sharing, just be conscious. Like there'll be some people who will be quite happy to take 15 minutes to share, something that may or may not be in any way relevant, and there'll be others who really have to work hard to share 3 words, and you as a group have to be monitoring that and encourage those of us who like to chat a bit. There's one of those. To shut up from time to time, and to encourage and create space for those who like to speak up a bit, and to working to create the space that we all need. We want to encourage you that this is not. It's important that the table is a safe place. That the things that are shared between you stay between you, and that's fairly obvious, isn't it? So we want to be able to say we're going to trust each other. And the last one is we want to respect the fact that we are different, and also as we take this journey, one of the things we're going to discover in just a moment is the way you see the world is not 100% accurate, and creating the space for others to be able to be different to you is going to take some work. So we really want respect to be a value around the table, if that's okay. So just for the next 5 minutes, there's space there in your notes to have a bit of chat, ask any questions about those values, and you might find that there are other things that you as a table want to say to each other about what are the values you want to hold on to in terms of. And if like next week, as we probably have another guys' table, or whatever, we're probably going to have to give space for that to happen again for the guys, just to make sure you regroup. But these want to just have the space to ask any questions of the people who have done this course before around the tables, the facilitators. And then if you get to a point where you say, yeah, okay, we're happy to commit to that, there is space there for you to sign your name and date it. And we actually want this to be a commitment. Because Foundations is a much richer journey if it's a journey we take together. And it's a much richer journey if we can make these kind of commitments so that it's a safe journey to take together, if that's okay. So have a chat around your tables, and then in about 5 minutes I'll hand over the ball. So any questions, ask the people at your tables.